Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to welcome you to our April Community Outreach Meeting. Just a reminder, we host these meetings every month on the last Wednesday of every month, and we always touch upon a topic that's near and dear to Chelsea and the community. This evening, we're lucky to have Fidel Maltez, our city manager, to discuss some of the ongoing projects going on in the community, in particular some of the downtown construction projects. Without further ado, I will turn it over to Fidel Maltez.
Thank you, Jen. I appreciate it, and thank you everyone for coming today. So this is a listening session, right? We'll share information. Obviously, we'll answer any questions, but I want to use this as an opportunity to also share citywide initiatives as well, right? But we'll do a deep dive on construction first. This is the second time I have a listening session here in the chamber. I did this last spring when I first started as city manager in Chelsea. I've been on the job now for a year and a half or so, and this is part of a series, right, that we're doing in terms of coming out, right? Because I feel like the complaint, right, or maybe the sentiment that we hear is that City Hall is not intentional about communication, right? And I want to say that we are intentional in doing better, and we're intentional in trying at least. So this downtown project, right, really was a dream of Jay Ash, probably in like 2014, I want to say, right, where he had a dream, and that dream was called reimagining Broadway, right? So we're 10 years ahead of that dream. I started in Chelsea as Commissioner of Public Works in 2017, right? And our city manager then ran with that dream as well, right? And take you back a little bit, initially there was a lot of conversations on traffic flow, right? A lot of public engagement around traffic flow. There was a proposal to make the street a two-way street, right? And a lot of hearings on this matter. That's probably 2017 and 2018. Ultimately, the project was teed up, right, and approved for construction in 2024. I left in 2022, and I went to Reading, right, and I came back in 2024, and when I came back, I said, my goal is for two things, right? One is for people not to say the city doesn't care, right? So it's one of them, right? I wanted to show people that we do care, right? We understand how hard it is. We understand the impacts. And the other one was I didn't want, as much as possible, for people to say, I didn't know, right? So I didn't know there was going to be construction, or I didn't know you were coming on in front of my street, right? So as long as those two things happen, I feel like we're doing the best we can. So we had a meeting here, I want to say in February of last year, before there was a shovel in the ground. We did flyering, right, on all the businesses. We have since had monthly meetings with businesses, but of course, you know, it doesn't remove the fact that there is significant impact, right? But obviously, it's 10 years in the making. What is going to result, right? We are going to have brand new water and sewer infrastructure from City Hall down to the traffic, the Chelsea District Court, right? When you combine that with the work that is wrapping up on Upper Broadway, which is from City Hall to Revere, right? It's going to mean that all of Broadway, which is our main corridor, is going to be brand new, right? And it's going to last 100 years, right, of time. The work that is happening now is related to water and sewer. All of the sewer lines and the water services are getting replaced. Once that happens, we are going to take a short break, potentially up to a year, and Mass DOT is going to come back and it's going to do the sidewalks, and it is going to change traffic flow in a couple of key intersections, and is going to install traffic signals, right, in Bellingham Square, on Fifth, on Bellingham Square, on 4th Street, on 3rd Street, and a flashing light on 2nd Street, right? Which I believe is going to make for much better traffic flow, right? I can't tell you how many complaints we get of the sidewalks on Broadway, right? The last time that Chelsea replaced sidewalks on Broadway was 1973, right? That's a long time ago. That is a long time ago. So just yes, this is a rough time to do construction, but one, it was a long time in the making, and it is going to be an investment in our future. With that said, though, obviously we do see a lot of impacts, that are happening. Malcolm, you want to give us a rundown of where we're at and where we're going?
All right. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Malcolm Vivey. I work with Duber Engineers. This is my boss, Joe. And I'm the resident inspector for the project. And anybody who has filed a legitimate complaint has probably spoken to me. And I'm also the guy that helps manage the complaints as well. What I have for you here is an overview of the project area on Broadway and the two locations that we're focusing on, the two crews. I'll start here. This is the east. So this is City Hall Ave right here. And currently the crew one is right here, and we're making really good progress. So in order to get from here to here, we're looking at end of May, but I think we're going to be buttoning up mid-May because we just killed it today and did a really good job getting the sewer this far. I think we're like right about here right now, which is at least 2 to 3 times faster than what is expected. Now I can't say that we'll be able to maintain that, but we're doing really well with sewer and drain, so we might even be able to beat this date. But if you're living in this area, commuting through this area, expect a delay in traffic or truck traffic at the beginning of the day, at the end of your day, through the end of mid-May. This section of drain in green is expected to run through end of June, and then we have a small section of work back here that they can fall back on in, provided there are no issues here, after July 4th. Okay. Any questions on this side of the city? No? Awesome. So now Winnissimmet, we got some Winnissimmet folks here. We're back on that street installing drain, and I believe we set the final manhole today. So looking at Winnissimmet, we're looking to finalize the sewer and drain by the end of this week. And from the end of this week to the middle of May, we're going to be working on finalizing the connections and then installing all the water. So mid-May should be off your street. And then they're going to move over to this section of the project right here in yellow, which is the final drain portion, which they're going to run from 5:15 to 5:30.
So mid-May, Winnissimmet is going to be paved.
You'll see temporary paving on Winnissimmet, and we should have all the equipment pulled off, with the exception of maybe some laydown area on the park side of Winnissimmet. But all that parking along the building side should be returned back to you, and the water should be taken, temporary bypass water. That's that 4-inch plastic pipe that you see on the surface area. Should be pulling that out sometime around, I would say, mid-May is what we're targeting. That's the goal. And then the drain from here to here, looking at 5:30, reaching this point. And then they got to go back and do Winnissimmet. They got to go back and do connections in June. So they're going to be working mostly from here to here for the rest of this month, and then they're going to come back here and do some final connections. But that's like smaller equipment and very localized to where the locations are, where the bypasses are. So I'm hoping that we're able to get this done for you before like the July 4th holiday. I can be able to turn that space over back a week completely. And then lastly, we have fiber optic. So fiber optics cabling. So
sorry, it says to June 4th. Does that mean, did you mean to write July 4th?
No.
So it's just 2 days?
It's just real quick. Like they go back, they remove the connection of the drain bypass and reconnect your So it's a very short period of time. So the last scope of work that we have projected here is fiber optics. So if anybody's had internet issues, one of the requests the city made for the project was to create new infrastructure for internet. And so the contracts will be coming from the west all the way, Second Street, just past Second Street, all the way to Fourth Street. They'll be coming through along the sidewalks and digging shallow trenches and installing a new raceway for fiber optic conduits. And then that fiber optic will have stub-ups at the new building, so, you know, you get more infrastructure for internet, which maybe equals more service providers and better options. So ultimately, good for the people. And that's the last piece, very, very quick moving. So we're looking at June 4th to June 26th to get from here to here. But you'll see some disruption. If you own a business frontage along this part of the project, you expect some interruption, but we're talking like maybe a day or two, and then they move past it.
And none of this will affect what is in it, right? The fiber optics implementation?
No, it's all right here.
Okay.
Park Street Broadway.
Yeah, and the fiber optic work is part of a map that we're creating, that it is gonna be a citywide fiber map. So what it's gonna do is gonna connect basically our city yard on Beecham Street to the fire station on Broadway. So you can imagine, it's running the line, basically, the entire way.
Malcolm, that's gonna be fast moving work through there,
Yeah.
right? About 100 feet a day?
Yeah, but I think it's 3 weeks to do all this.
Okay. So it should be pretty quick with minimal, well, short-term impacts for each business.
Yeah, one thing that I didn't share that I forgot to share is you'll notice a lot of drainage work, right? Because the I'm sure you see on the news that there's a lot of complaints about combined sewer overflows, right? Right now, our sewer and our drainage go into one pipe. And that pipe is so big, right? So when there's a huge rainfall, then you know, the sewer overflows into the water, into the river. So this is part of a longer term project to separate that. At the end of this project, we'll have dedicated sewer pipes and dedicated drainage or rainwater pipes. Right, which is an environmental benefit and a financial benefit as well.
And I can add that this is the next couple of months looking forward. The project will still continue tentatively through the end of December this year, so there is additional work. This is not the end of it.
Yeah, that's a good disclaimer. This doesn't necessarily mean there won't be comebacks in a certain period of project, but this is the best forecast that we have for what we have available to us and when it will be executed. And as we move down the project, this gets updated. We host, I think, one of these meetings every month, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so
At
once a
least
month.
1 or 2.
Yeah, at least 1 or 2 a month, we provide the updates. So if there are changes to the project and you come to those, you'll be privy to them. Otherwise, they get pushed out on websites as well.
I do strongly suggest for anyone that wants updates, the city has a construction landing page specifically for those updates, and you can access that through our website as well. So if you come, we have a page just dedicated to city news that links you straight to the city website, and the city has a dedicated landing page just for construction updates.
I'm sort of curious about the fiber optics work. What is the impetus for that? And again, I'm pretty ignorant on fiber optics, but with all the new technology, which is like satellite based, like why are we investing in fiber optics?
Yeah, absolutely. Chelsea, I think is ahead on the 5G network stuff, right? So
Which is a Comcast based, right?
it's everyone, right? It's Verizon, but what happens is it's not satellites in the sky. What it is
For now,
basically
right.
is maybe, I mean, I have no idea, but the what it is basically is on the light poles, right? There's an antenna,
Yeah.
right? And that antenna basically
Emitting a signal.
broadcasts
Have we done any studies on the EMF emission?
Oh, a lot, absolutely a lot. The first one that was installed in Chelsea was like 2018 or something like that. There was a lot of controversy, not necessarily here, right? Because it's industrial areas, you know, they're usually on poles, right? So it's usually high. Once we started installing them in residential areas, it was more of a concern.
Yeah.
And it wasn't us defending, you know, it was us approving the placement of them from a Verizon or something like
Verizon basically applied for the permit, and the city approved the installation of all of these antennas going around the city.
Absolutely, absolutely. And every time there's an antenna installed, we approve it. But what I was getting at is that all of these antennas are linked with fiber optics, right? And fiber optics is an upgrade from the old copper lines, right?
I totally hear you on that. I just feel like with all of the new technology coming online, and even in Chelsea there was a company, I can't remember what the name is, but it would be internet coming from the sky, not necessarily, you know, fiber, Starlink, and then even Tesla's is basically based on a satellite from the sky. You get a signal versus like building an antenna
That's great. That's
right
great.
next to your house.
Yeah, and you know, things change on a daily basis, right? So we can't control what's happening. What we are doing essentially is an upgrade from copper lines, right? And it's something that has been planned for a while, right? And what it's doing is creating a network, right? That is a citywide network that you know, we have a map and we're expanding that network. The intention is to loop all the public buildings, right? And to create infrastructure that can be leased, right, to a provider. So you know, if
So we're collecting income technically on all of these installations throughout the city.
in a perfect world, absolutely. Now, what's happening is it's a municipal infrastructure, right? So when you call 911, right, it's all linked through fiber optics that are linked essentially from our 911 center to a police station, right? Or between Chelsea and Boston, right? So all of that is a fiber network that is installed. As of now, the only infrastructure that is in place is for municipal use, and is not to generate money, but we are installing enough infrastructure that if someone wanted to install, you know, and piggyback on a conduit, we would have that ability.
Now, I'm just more interested in the EMF, sort of like radiation, wavelengths, like, and it's pretty new technology. No one really knows the impacts, and Chelsea's one of the most densely populated cities. So I'll be curious to see if we have done any studies to actually ensure the safety of the residents, given that we're installing all of these installations throughout these residential areas.
Yeah. What this is cable, right? It's internet, so
Yeah.
it's not antennas.
But it is still
it's
a
underground.
signal.
No. So if you can imagine it, it's a pipe that is on the ground,
Yeah.
right? So and it is buried on the ground,
Yeah.
right? So that is not a signal. What I meant about the 5G antennas is just the connection between antennas. Actually, the internet source is through fiber, not from satellites. Not from satellites. But no, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to be too I guess damning, but I carry a cell phone right next to my body all day. I go to sleep with it, right, and it's right there. I mean, you know, who knows what the effects of it are, right?
Yeah.
And in a city like Chelsea, we honestly we're blessed with good service, right? In other communities that are more rural, right, it is not the case. So yes, it is a potential hazard, but it's convenience.
as well.
Great question. Any questions from anybody else on construction?
I just had one.
Hi, Jonah.
While you're laying all this conduit, are you gonna lay an additional empty conduit for future expansion? So you don't have to interfere with the fiber, or you will not damage what's in place now?
Malcolm?
Yeah.
I think it's
That is the,
2x3
that is the
inch.
point of this. It's additional raceway so that you can pull wire and bring it to businesses.
And it's gonna be empty, you're overdoing it right now? Okay,
It's additional capacity.
okay.
Yeah. With the hope that, in the future, right, it's available to someone else,
Right.
right? And every time that we've done a project, we've done this. When the Silver Line was built, right, we asked them for a conduit, right? And the intention is, as we're building infrastructure, right, and we got an open trench, let's go ahead and plan for the future.
With the caveat that everything is moving satellite, and this will be, by the time you build it, it'll be obsolete.
Absolutely, yeah. Who knows? There might be a chip back here at some point, right?
Neuralink,
We don't use that. Yeah, exactly.
we all watch it.
Yes, sir.
So when will all the construction be totally complete?
That's a great question. So once these guys are out, right, and they go home, right, that we are projecting that to be in December of 2025, right? So in December of 2025, right? Is that right? Roughly. The water and sewer and drainage is going to be done. One problem, right? They're going to pave everything as best they can, right? As temporarily as they can, and Mass DOT, right? Is coming afterwards and doing sidewalks, traffic signals, and roadway. That is likely going to be in 2027. What do you think at this point?
Yeah, we had hoped to initially start spring of 2026, but the trade-off of getting $12 million from Mass DOT to pay for all of this is that we are held to their timeline. So they have approached us about pushing back the bidding of the project. So it might be fall 26 or
Fall 26.
hopefully at the latest spring 27, but we're pushing them to stay on.
And they're doing all the streets and sidewalks,
Maybe
New
replacing
lighting,
sidewalks?
new everything.
open spaces.
But if there's no need to replace the sidewalks right now, like why would we do that? Especially if they're so close to our building, our building is pretty old.
So your sidewalks on 107 are a little different than
Oh,
what we're
okay,
talking
so
about.
we're not going to
Yeah.
touch those, okay,
So the what we're talking about is a sidewalk on Broadway.
okay.
Right, so where obviously it's bricks that were installed in 1973, it's been patched over the years, right? And what is going to be installed, I believe, Kate, is concrete sidewalks all the way around. Is that right?
Yes, there'll be a little brick strip to harken back to the current brick and to maintain some of the character, but we want the majority of the pathway to be flat and smooth and accessible to all.
But easy maintenance.
Easier to handle.
Speaking of accessible to all, are we improving any of the open spaces, public parks?
You had just asked about that. The Massachusetts, or the DOT work that's being done is through the Transportation Improvement Program, so they primarily pay for the transportation-related infrastructure, including pedestrian transportation. We are looking at upgrades around Chelsea Square and around City Hall, and the city is looking for additional funding to support that so that we can do it all at the same time.
And Mass DOT funding is state funding, right? It's
Move the
not
mouse
federal
pad.
funding.
Yep.
State one,
Yeah.
state, okay.
Yeah, the Chelsea Square, the intention is to do basically do all sidewalks in there, replace a few of the statues, right, and make it more welcoming. In Chelsea Square and City Hall, I think it's the same. It's going to be to do the same around City Hall.
What kind of statues can you talk about replacing?
Ooh, I don't know if I want to go into that. You're right. No. In all honesty, replace the statue that was removed in 2021.
Oh,
Want to, yeah.
Why did we remove it and now we're installing it in Columbus?
I don't know that we're installing New Columbus. And ultimately, the placement of statue is requires the approval of the city council, so I'm not going to decide who goes in there. Maybe Chief Houghton's statue can go in there.
Thank you.
Right now.
With the prom dress.
You got my vote. You got my vote. But no.
Paul, you can edit that.
Yeah. In all reality, what will happen is there's going to be a public process, right? As to what statute to put in place. There was an event back in 2022, I want to say, or 21, where it was an ambitioning event, right? I think we had an artist that put a faceless statue, and we had projections of what a possible statue could be. But I don't think we're close to defining what statue is going to be there yet. But it's going to be touched, Joni. Oh, I know. It's going to be a lot of opinions around that.
The good thing about it is that the city is good about sharing surveys and allowing for community input, and hopefully we get to keep the water fountain at least. But I do love that the city always gives an opportunity for those that want to have an opinion to have an opinion. So I just strongly suggest that you follow the city on their social media platforms and regularly visit the city's website, as well as ours, because we'll share anything that the city has as far as to share with the population, so that you do have a say.
Yeah, and I would also suggest it would be super helpful to use the electronic notification system. I mean, it's only used in emergencies, I feel like, but it could really be utilized with like, hey, here's what's going on here and there.
Good point.
Especially to the residents that are most affected by, let's say, construction or statue building, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. That's good work. Thank you. Yeah, well, we've played around with that, but it's always a balance of like people think that it should only be used for emergencies, and I think the opposite. I think send me a text message. I get a text message for everything. Just one more is not going to hurt me. But I think it's a balance between those two. All right. So, any questions on construction? Any questions on construction? So, aside from water and sewer construction, you'll notice that there's a residential construction that is happening on Broadway right now. So the city purchased a Salvation Army store that was on Broadway, 440 Broadway. Purchased it in 2017. We bought it for $1 million, which I think it was a good price back then. Basically, over the last 4 or 5 years, the city has been working with a developer, right, on doing residential in that property. So what is happening is it's on this side of the street, on the Chamber side of the street, the building has now been demolished. It is going to be a 5-story building that is sitting there. It is going to have, I want to say, 40 units. 10 of those units are going to be home ownership units. So it's going to be condos. Essentially, that will be for sale, right?
10 units of them will be for sale.
10 of the 40. 10 of the 40 will be for sale. The remaining 30 will be rentals.
Is the city leasing the land, or did the city sell the lot?
So the city put out an RFP, right? A request for proposal, and reviewed different proposals, and the winning person was essentially made a condo building out of the whole thing. So the city owns and will continue owning the first floor, right, of the property, the commercial space essentially, and the residential spaces are owned by other parties. In the case of the home ownership condos, each person is going to own their condo, right? And in the residential pieces, the developer is going to own the rental properties. Yeah.
Are any of those going to be affordable?
All of them are going to be affordable.
What about parking? I'm just very curious with all the new construction going on in the city.
There's underground parking.
For all
You
the
see it?
units?
Not for all the units, because what that means, right? I want to say there's like 40 parking spots. It's underground. It's 2 levels basically of underground parking. The commercial space and residential up top. So there is some parking provided. And I want to say that it's 40 units. I don't know. In front of you, I think it might be in the state of the city. That's happening, and it is all affordable units at different rates, right, of affordability. Across the street, from that at 361 to 375 Broadway, which is where Metro Credit Union is, right, up there. The development is happening. That's closer to Division Street, on 4th Street, but it's essentially a very similar, very similar project. It's all affordable, and that one I want to say that it's 61 units. I don't recall it at the moment, but it's varying levels of affordability in that building. But what we are doing, right, is we are I think setting a vision of what Broadway should look like, right? And it's not my vision. It's Jay Ash's vision from 2014, right? Zoning has been changing, right? In order to encourage height on Broadway, in order to encourage redevelopment of old properties, right? That maybe are not the prettiest, in the corridor, and to encourage this idea of keeping commercial in the bottom floors and adding 4 or 5 floors of residential up top, right, on the Broadway corridor. So it's an exciting 2 projects that we hope are going to lead to more projects in the future.
Yeah, I'm in total support of, affordable housing. I just worry, and I feel like the city's sort of missing the point on figuring out the parking situation, because again, if people don't have parking, then there's an issue. It's already an issue. Street parking is already an issue. Adding more units, adding more people, and obviously that's going to cause a strain on public transportation. Is the city in conversation with the MBTA to provide more regular service? I mean, are any of those things happening?
Absolutely.
I feel like we're just adding on.
Yeah.
There's so many developments going on, but where's the parking? We have to be a little more forward thinking versus just saying, hey, we just need to build more.
Yeah. And I will say that the parking conversation is a conversation that we're having in probably every meeting that I go to. So my position is different though. What we are seeing in neighboring communities, like in Cambridge, in Everett, in Revere, I'm thinking around us, is there a reduction on parking limits? It's not an increase in parking limits. And the idea is that the market is going to
Reorient itself to public transportation.
is going to direct people to lose their cars, essentially, right? What is happening in communities around us is that developments, if they don't provide parking, right, then residents from those developments don't have the ability to get parking stickers, right? Which means that they can't park off street, right? So it's what the intention is that if you own a vehicle and a vehicle is important to you, you probably won't live, right? Ideally, right? If you like to take the 111, which is on Broadway, right? I think it's the 3rd busiest line in the corridor. Very busy line. Very busy line, right? And the MBTA really prioritizes the 111. We in partnership with the MBTA, launched Route 104, right, which is on the backside of Broadway, it now connects Malden and the airport, right? And it's a high-frequency line, which means that in rush hour, a bus runs every 5 minutes, right? In rush hour time. So the idea is that if you are a person that wants to live in this area, you will make a choice not to have a car, right? I'm not saying that everyone shouldn't have a car. It's not that. It's I think what cities are going with. It's basically letting the market dictate whether those who live there have cars. And I'll tell you that it is a constant struggle, right? Because the what we hear, right, is we need more housing, right? Our housing prices are through the roof, right? And this is not a Chelsea problem. It's a regional problem, and in many ways, it's a national problem. And the what everyone says, I think, and I agree, it is a supply and demand problem, and right now there is more demand than supply. And in order to rectify the market, we got to build more housing, right? And on the state side, obviously the state passed the Affordable Homes Act, and a lot of money is being thrown into housing production, not necessarily affordable housing production, but just in housing production overall. But parking is a balance, and it is a tough conversation. What we are seeing here on Broadway is different than what we see probably at 1 North, right? It's probably different than what we see at Vero, which is more luxurious, right? It's developments where you have a gym, a pool, right? Pickleball courts, right? I think 1 North has pickleball courts and parking, right? So it's not one size fits all developments, right? And honestly, I mean, it's a conversation that I think other communities have been having for some time. In Chelsea is continuing to have those conversations.
Yeah.
But it's a balance.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that the city should also recognize that as an interest and lead those conversations with parking in mind. Because certainly you're issuing the RFP, so you can dictate how many parking spaces you would like to see.
We can, but the if you can imagine, right?
I imagine I'm fully aware. I just think, because I live here and I've seen it before 10 years and I see it now. And again, I'm fully supportive of affordable housing, market rate housing. I just think that parking is an issue. It will become an issue if we're attracting more people, so we just need to be mindful of that.
Absolutely. If I build a building, right, and I can fit 3 units in it, right, the building cost is split by 3, right? If I can fit 5 units, the building cost is split by 5, right? And the majority of the cost is in the building, in the shell. It's not in the finishings. It's not in the carpet and the tile. So it's a real conversation with those developers that are saying the more parking that you require, the less units that I'm going to have, right? And the financial just won't work. And I think it is what has been happening in the state for a long time, right? We have made it harder to build. We have made it more expensive to build, which means not enough is getting built, right? I mean, and I had a little hiatus, right? And I was ready for 2 years in a community where housing is really, really tough to build, right? Every project you got to fight tooth and nail for, right? I mean, in communities like that, in Milton, in Reading, right? Housing is just not built, right? So
There's
it's
a new
about
project being built in Milton right now.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Very
so.
Good, fine. Really good questions.
Are there any conversations on water transportation?
Ooh, water transportation. Yeah. The state senator came to our meeting on Monday. Encore Casino now provides a water shuttle, right, from Encore to downtown, and it's free. So You can take that right now. When the stadium is built in Everett, the stadium is going to have a water shuttle, right? From the stadium in Everett to downtown. There is an entity that is looking into doing a water shuttle. The main hurdle here in Chelsea is that we don't have a dock or a landing area, right? Or that has a restroom, a little building to rest in, right? As you wait for the water show. But I think there is interest, absolutely. It's more about finding a home for it. We are in development in talks about development at Forbes, which is at the end of Crescent and Clinton, and that's the mission there, having a landing spot for a dock. Yeah.
You mentioned the stadium. Is the stadium approved?
The stadium is down in Chelsea. It's in Everett. The stadium was approved by the legislature.
Yeah.
It's probably about 3 or 4 years out, but I think it's going to happen.
Okay. Have we run a study to figure out the impact on Chelsea in terms of traffic?
What we talked about on Monday, absolutely. And the interesting part, right, is that this stadium is going to have 25,000 seats, right, with not 25,000 parking spots, right? And the stadium is proving this argument that I just made to you, right? That if you don't have parking available, people won't bring their cars. Right, and obviously they're going to test it out, and I'm sure there's going to be some property owners that are going to make some money, right, renting their parking lots on events, on event days, which is okay. But yeah, I mean it is a conversation that we're having. We are certainly going to make sure that Chelsea gets its fair share of benefits out of the stadium. We'll do that.
Those new apartment projects in Lynn, the Lynn waterfront. I went to visit my friend. There's no parking, no parking, but it's built right.
What do people do?
Well, so it's built right next to the.
Wait, how's the process?
The water shuttles, so everyone gets.
So they have an option.
They have an option.
Right?
I think we have plenty of options here. On Broadway,
I think you gotta work harder.
Plenty of options, absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't talk about parking all day, but I live in a neighborhood, right, in Amarillo, right, where we don't have enough parking. We don't have the enough parking that we require here, right? So in majority of the buildings in Amarillo or the units do not have 1.25 parkings per unit, which is what we require here, right? So if Amarillo would not be built today under our current zoning, right? Many of the properties that we have in Chelsea would not be built today, right? I don't know if your building would be built today, right?
We have parking actually, so.
Enough parking?
No,
Good amount, I mean, reasonable for Chelsea, reasonable.
Okay, good.
not one per every unit. Not enough.
But then again, we're not building 1.5 for every development. This development has 68 new apartments coming up, and then you have only 20 parking spaces. So it's not really,
It's not.
even one.
Absolutely, it's not.
Less than one.
It is not, absolutely.
So, just to clarify.
No, for sure. And the other developments, one north, View Apartments do,
Yeah.
right? The developments downtown, here, downtown, it is basically, if you cannot meet the parking requirements, that's okay. But residents of those buildings will not get a sticker.
So how is the city going to enforce that?
We do today. So that's been an ordinance that has been in place since 2019. You want to talk about the burn bill?
Yeah, I mean, take it though. That's really about it. Yeah, like the idea is that if you do have a vehicle, you're being told by the management company or whoever's leasing you the property, that you would not be part of the parking program.
For the city of Chelsea?
For the city of
I
Chelsea,
see.
yeah.
Okay.
So ideally, they should be notified well before
They move
they
in.
move in.
Yeah.
So they're not stuck in a
Somerville does
sort
a
of
similar
situation.
We have a young engineer that supports our project who lives in Somerville, and we have a Duder-mobile that he can't currently get a sticker for, so he has to park it 2 miles, 3 miles down the road and walk.
It's not that far, it's half a mile.
It's uphill both ways.
That's a lot of steps.
Alright, no, but
I'm sure he looks fit.
it's
Cheap, yeah.
not convenient. He said it blew on it actually. But yeah, he's gonna walk to go get his vehicle.
So in Chelsea, commercial vehicles cannot get a sticker unless it is a vehicle that is owned by a business that operates out of that property or something like that.
Yeah, it has to be registered to the city.
I see.
So it can't just be any commercial vehicle like that.
So that's if you move to Chelsea or big truck, won't get a sticker either.
I'm glad to hear that.
Great. Thank you.
Right. Does anyone have any other questions? Well, I'd like to thank Fidel for being here this afternoon, and thank all our guests for being here as well. And just a friendly reminder, these meetings again happen once a month on the last Wednesday of every month. We're open to any suggestions. If there's a topic anyone would like to have covered, just let us know and contact us here at the chamber. And if not, I'd like to thank everyone for their time this evening. Thank you very much.